Why are you cheering for AI while it is preparing to fire you? History tells you. Productivity innovation does not mean wage growth. Welcome to new feudalism.
That is a seriously bleak way to start things. I mean, new feudalism, that feels a little hyperbolic, doesn't it? I'm looking at my iPhone right now. I have the sum of all human knowledge in my pocket. I use ChatGPT to draft emails that used to take me 10 minutes.
Sure.
Life is just, objectively more convenient than it was 20 years ago. You can't just wave that away.
And that convenience is the sugar coating on the poison pill. See, that's the trap.
What trap?
You're looking at the gadgets, you're looking at the cool toys. But the book we're covering today argues you're missing the economic lie that has been sold to us for, well, literally 1,000 years.
1,000 years. We're going back that far.
We have to. We are diving into Power and Progress by Daron Acemoglu and Simon Johnson. And honestly, this book rattled me. It takes that warm, fuzzy feeling you have about technological progress and just douses it in ice water. It basically argues that everything you think you know is wrong.
Well, I'm intrigued, even if I'm a little defensive. I mean, the standard narrative, the one I learned in Econ 101, is the productivity bandwagon.
Right.
It's a pretty solid theory.
So let's define that before we, dismantle it. What is the story we tell ourselves?
The story is that tech is a rising tide that lifts all boats. New machines make companies more efficient, productivity goes up,
Right.
costs go down, profits go up, and because companies are making more money, they hire more people and pay them better wages. It's a virtuous cycle. We all jump on the bandwagon together.
It sounds beautiful, it's logical, and according to Acemoglu and Johnson, it is a complete fantasy.
A fantasy? That seems strong. We've seen wages rise over history. We aren't living in mud huts.
We have, but not automatically because of technology. The authors argue that tech isn't a force of nature that inevitably helps everyone. It's a choice.
A choice.
And for most of history, the people making that choice chose to keep 100% of the money for themselves. The bandwagon isn't the default, it's the exception.
Okay, prove it. You mentioned 1,000 years. Take me back.
Let's go to the Middle Ages. Between, say, 1000 and 1300 CE. This was a massive time for tech innovation in Europe. You had better plows, new crop rotations, and especially watermills.
Right, watermills. Huge labor saver. Instead of grinding grain by hand, the river does it for you. Productivity must have skyrocketed.
It did. Agricultural output surged. The gains were massive. So, logically, if the bandwagon theory is true, what should happen to the peasants?
Well, they should have had more food, or at least worked fewer hours to get the same amount.
That would be the logical outcome, but that's not what happened. The peasants stayed exactly as poor as they were before.
So where did the surplus go? The extra grain didn't just vanish.
It went to the elite, the church and the nobility. Because of the power dynamics feudalism, the lords owned the mills and forced the peasants to use them for massive fees.
And they used that wealth for...
To build massive cathedrals and fund crusades. The tech worked. It created wealth, but the system meant 0% of it trickled down.
Okay, that is depressing. But that was feudalism. We're talking about serfs tied to the land. They had no agency. We don't live in that world.
Don't we? Or do we just have different lords? Let's jump forward to the holy grail of progress, the Industrial Revolution.
Okay, now we're on my turf. Steam engines, textile mills. This is where the modern standard of living comes from. You can't tell me that didn't help people.
Eventually, yes. But have you heard of Engels' pause?
I know Engels, Marx's collaborator, but not the pause.
So from about 1790 to 1840 in Britain, that's 50 years, 2 full generations technology just exploded. Steam power changed everything.
And this is where the middle class was born.
No, that's the myth. For those 50 years, real wages for the average worker stagnated, or actually fell.
For 50 years, that's an entire working life.
An entire lifetime. People moved into cities that were cesspools of disease, children were losing fingers in factories, all while the guys who owned the machines were building mansions.
So the bandwagon didn't show up for almost 100 years.
Not until workers got some leverage. The machines themselves were chosen specifically to de-skill the workforce, to replace skilled artisans with low-wage laborers.
So they're saying we're in a new pause right now.
Or we're just being scammed again. Welcome to Nonfiction Insights, by the way. This is where we take the red pill and see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Okay, I'm strapped in, but I need you to explain the mechanics here. My brain is still stuck on the basic logic.
Yeah.
If a company makes more money with AI, why wouldn't they hire more people?
This is where we have to go back to first principles. It's about the difference between average productivity and marginal productivity.
Okay, break that down for me.
Average productivity is just total output divided by the number of workers. Simple. Fire half your staff, use robots to make the same amount of stuff, and your average productivity goes through the roof.
Right. Wall Street loves that. They call it efficiency measures.
Exactly. But companies don't hire based on that. They hire based on marginal productivity, which means how much value does one more human add to the mix?
Okay, so if I'm a baker and I hire a second baker, he doubles my output. His
Yeah.
marginal productivity is high.
Correct. You'd pay him well because he creates tangible value, but now let's look at the factory of the future. The book uses this incredible image. Imagine a factory with only 2 employees,
Okay.
a man and a dog.
A man and a dog.
The man is there to feed the dog. The dog is there to keep the man from touching the machine.
That is vivid
Yeah.
and terrifying.
But think about the economics. The output is huge. Robots are churning out widgets 247. The average productivity is sky high. But what is the marginal productivity of the human? What's the value of adding a second man to that factory?
0. You don't need him. The robots do the work.
Exactly. So the company has zero incentive to pay the man more, and they definitely won't hire more people. The wealth goes entirely to the owners of the robots.
This feels like it explains so much of the last 40 years. But wait, I have to push back again. Post-World War II, from like 1949 to 1973.
The golden age.
Yeah. Wages and productivity went up in perfect lockstep. My grandfather bought a house on a single income. The bandwagon worked then. Why?
It did. But Acemoglu and Johnson argue that we see that period as normal, when in reality it was a massive historical anomaly.
It was a fluke.
It was a unique moment created by what they call countervailing powers. The tech could have been used to replace workers, but it wasn't.
Why not?
Because you had incredibly strong unions, you had the threat of communism terrifying the elites into sharing the wealth, you had government regulations that forced the steering wheel in a certain direction.
So the bandwagon only works if you force the driver to stop and pick people up.
Bingo. And then came the 80s. Unions were crushed, shareholder value became the only goal, and the tech started to shift.
And that's when things diverged.
Since 1980, productivity has gone up and up, but median wages, they've grown at something like 0.45% per year.
That's basically flat, while the cost of everything else skyrocketed.
Exactly. The bandwagon crashed 40 years ago, and we're still standing on the side of the road.
Okay, so the economic argument makes sense. But the book talks about something darker than just wages, right? It's about control.
Oh, this is the scary part. This is the panopticon.
Jeremy Bentham, the prison guy from the 1700s.
That's him, 1791. He designs this circular prison where one guard can watch all the prisoners, but they never know if they're being watched.
So they have to behave perfectly all the time.
Right, but here's the thing people forget. It was never just for prisons. His brother Samuel came up with the idea for factories. It was always about labor control.
And you think we're living in that now?
Look at Amazon. The book details their Mentor app for drivers. It tracks everything: acceleration, braking, phone usage. Inside the warehouses, they track time off task down to the second.
I've heard about this. If you stop moving, an algorithm flags you. But isn't the argument just efficiency? It gets me my package in 2 days.
That's the sugarcoating again. Yes, it squeezes out a tiny bit more efficiency. But the real reason they invest billions in this?
To save money on wasted time.
To destroy bargaining power.
How does tracking my braking destroy my bargaining power?
If you are being watched every second, you cannot talk to the person next to you about your low pay. You can't organize a union drive. You become an isolated cog in a machine.
It atomizes the workforce. You can't have solidarity if you're afraid to even talk.
Exactly. This is technology as control. It's not about making work better. It's about making the worker powerless.
This is starting to feel incredibly hopeless. I mean, if the tech exists to monitor and replace us, of course companies are going to use it. Is this inevitable?
That is the central question of the book, and their answer is no. It is not inevitable. We are at a fork in the road, and the people driving the car are taking the wrong turn.
What are the 2 paths?
Path 1 is what we're on now. They call it machine intelligence, or more accurately, so-so automation.
So automation. That sounds underwhelming.
It is. That's the whole point. It's technology that isn't actually good enough to be revolutionary, but it's just good enough to fire a human.
Give me a concrete example.
Self-checkout kiosks at the grocery store.
Oh, God, I hate those things. Unexpected item in the bagging area.
Right. Think about it economically. Does that machine make the store vastly more productive? Does it move the line faster than a skilled cashier?
No, it's usually slower.
Mhm.
I'm bad at scanning produce, I can't find the code, and then I have to wait for the one employee to come help anyway.
Exactly. It doesn't really increase productivity. It just shifts the labor from a paid employee to you, the unpaid customer. The store saves on wages, but the system barely improves. That is so-so automation.
And those automated customer service phone trees. It's cheaper for the company, but it wastes hours of my time screaming agent into my phone.
Precisely. It's terrible tech that we accept because it juices corporate margins. But there is another path.
Okay.
Path 2. Machine usefulness.
Machine usefulness. That sounds like what I actually want.
This is where tech is designed to make the human a superhero, not a redundancy. Think about the pocket calculator.
Okay.
It didn't replace mathematicians. It allowed them to do calculations that were impossible before. It expanded their abilities. Or GPS. It didn't replace drivers. It made every driver capable of navigating any city instantly.
It augmented us, gave us new powers.
Yes. The book talks about Douglas Engelbart, the guy who invented the computer mouse. His whole philosophy was augmenting human intellect. But Silicon Valley turned away from that. They got obsessed with autonomous AI. They don't want to help you write. They want the AI to write for you.
Because if the AI writes for me, they don't have to pay me.
Bingo. And that brings us to the vision oligarchy.
The vision oligarchy. Sounds like a sci-fi villain group.
It kind of is. We're talking about a tiny group of people, Musk, Zuckerberg, Altman, Gates, who have this huge power to decide which path we all take.
Well, to be fair, they are the ones building it. Shouldn't they decide? They're the experts.
And that is the canal vision trap.
Canal vision.
The book tells this incredible story about Ferdinand de Lesseps. He built the Suez Canal in the 1800s, a massive success, made him a hero in France. He was the Elon Musk of his day.
He did the impossible.
So then he decides to build the Panama Canal. And he says, I know how to do this. We'll do it exactly like Suez, just dig a big ditch.
But wait, Suez is a flat desert? Panama is a jungle with mountains and torrential rain.
Exactly. The engineers told him this won't work. The geography is different. But he was the visionary. He had the power to persuade. He ignored the experts, ignored the doctors warning about yellow fever.
What happened?
It was a catastrophe. 20,000 people died. The company went bankrupt. It was a total humanitarian and economic disaster, all because he was blinded by his own previous success.
So the lesson is, just because you built the Suez Canal doesn't mean you know how to build in Panama.
And just because you built a social network doesn't mean you know how to build an AI that reshapes society. The authors argue Silicon Valley is suffering from massive hubris. They're pushing this replace the human narrative because it's the only playbook they know.
And we're the ones dying of malaria in this metaphor.
We're the ones whose wages are stagnating while they build bunkers in Hawaii.
Okay, so if technology is a choice and the vision oligarchy is making the wrong one, how do we grab the steering wheel?
We need to stop acting like technology is the weather. It's not. Technology is a car. And right now, we are letting a couple of billionaires drive it toward a cliff.
So we need countervailing powers.
Yeah.
That's the phrase the book uses over and over. We need unions, child labor laws, democratic pressure. We need to make machine usefulness more profitable than so-so automation.
That sounds like a heavy lift. That's tax reform, breaking up monopolies.
It is. It means taxing capital robots and software at the same rate we tax human labor. It means data privacy laws that break the panopticon. It means we, the public, actually get a say. It's realizing the market won't fix this by itself. The market optimizes for profit, not for your well-being.
Exactly. If we want shared prosperity, if we want the bandwagon to actually have seats for us, we have to build those seats ourselves.
It's a lot to process. I walk in here thinking my iPhone was proof of progress, and now I'm wondering if it's just a tracking device that distracts me while my wages drop.
It's not that AI isn't the future, it's which AI. The one that watches and fires you, or the one that helps you do things you never dreamed of.
The fork in the road.
Exactly. And here's the thought I want to leave you with. It's something that wasn't explicitly in the book, but hit me while reading it.
Let's hear it.
Right now, we are training AI to write poetry, to paint pictures, to make movies. We are trying to automate human creativity.
The things that give us meaning.
Meanwhile, we are forcing humans to work in warehouses, wearing tracking bracelets, repeating the same robotic motion thousands of times a day.
We're automating the soul and turning humans into robots.
Why have we accepted a world where machines dream and humans toil? That is the choice. And we're running out of time to make the right one.
That is haunting, but necessary.
If you want to keep taking the red pill and see how deep the rabbit hole goes, subscribe. We're not done asking the hard questions.
This has been Nonfiction Insights.
See you next time.